In January 2020, the United States National Archives was caught altering an image from 2017. This was and is a big problem because the whole point of archiving is to preserve information forever without changing it. Arweave is a crypto project that aims to archive the world's information in an immutable way, and over the last year, it's partnered with major cryptocurrencies to permanently store their transaction histories. Today, I'm going to explain what Arweave is, bring you up to speed on some of the project's most important updates, and tell you why its AR coin is on track to become one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies. I know you're ready to rumble, but there's a disclaimer I need to unbundle. Giving you any kind of financial advice would get me in trouble. All I can give you is facts and stats that will help you navigate the crypto jungle. Please contact a financial advisor if your portfolio is about to crumble. Also note that I hold AR as part of my personal portfolio, but I'll keep my analysis humble. If you found this video on your YouTube homepage, my name is Guy and today is your lucky day. That's because the Coin Bureau is home to the highest quality crypto content a mere mortal can convey. Coins, tokens, news, reviews, and complex crypto concepts explained in a simple way. If you want to stay, subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell without delay. If you have things to do, I've left timestamps in the video timeline, just for you. You can use them to skip ahead, but be warned that you may miss out on important truths. Now that you're in the groove, let's see what Arweave has been up to and why AR could be about to moon. If Arweave is new to you, here's the abridged explanation. Arweave was founded in 2017 by computer scientists Sam Williams and William Jones, and it was built by their software company called Minimum Spanning Technologies. Arweave's ecosystem growth is overseen by the Open Web Foundry, an accelerator and incubator program for Arweave projects that's presumably operated by Minimum Spanning Technologies. Arweave raised $22 million across various ICOs in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, and Arweave's mainnet launched in June 2018. Fun fact, Arweave's mainnet launched on the anniversary of the publication of George Orwell's famous dystopian novel 1984, and this is because fighting against the kind of terrifying totalitarianism described in the book is one of the reasons why Arweave was founded in the first place. Arweave hopes to achieve this by doing what I mentioned in the introduction, archiving all the world's information forever in a manner that can't be modified. Arweave's creators argue that this permanent preservation of the past is paramount to preventing 1984 scenarios from arising in the future. The ability to store information for an indefinite period of time with a single payment is what makes Arweave different from other decentralized storage cryptocurrencies, which employ a pay-as-you-go model. Now, this is possible because of Arweave's unique architecture and its elaborate economics. In contrast to other cryptocurrencies, Arweave doesn't use a blockchain per se. Instead, it uses something called a block weave to incentivize miners on its network to store as much information as possible for as long as possible. To successfully mine a block and earn block rewards, miners are asked to show that they're storing data that was a part of the previous block, as well as another randomly selected block called the recall block. If the miner can't prove they have the data in the recall block, they don't earn block rewards. Now, this incentivizes miners to store as much of Arweave's data as possible, even though they're not technically required to do so, because otherwise they run the risk of not earning block rewards. This unique consensus mechanism is called Succinct Proofs of Random Access, or SPORA, and it uses a combination of factors such as storage capacity, internet speed, and computing power to determine which miner gets to mine a block. Fun fact, Spora leverages Monero's RandomX consensus as part of its miner selection process, and Arweave co-founder Sam Williams actually helped develop RandomX. While it's not entirely clear how profitable AR mining is, it's lucrative enough to have attracted almost 1,200 miners around the world. To ensure Arweave miners are adequately compensated for the foreseeable future, only a portion of the AR paid to miners for their data storage services is accessible immediately. The rest is put into a sort of on-chain treasury called the storage endowment, which gradually releases AR coins over time to ensure Arweave miners are always making enough to cover their costs. The cost of permanent storage on Arweave is calculated based on the assumption that the cost of data storage will decline over time. The Arweave protocol assumes that the cost of data storage will decline at a much slower rate than is currently projected in order to be on the safe side, and it uses a 200-year timeline for its cost of storage calculation. At the moment, it costs around $7 of AR to store 1 gigabyte of data on Arweave. This is much more than both centralized and decentralized storage solutions, but this is because you're paying for permanent data storage, and it's a one-time payment. If all that wasn't awesome enough, Arweave is smart contract compatible. The front ends for Arweave dApps can be made decentralized and permanent. All the data and dApps stored on Arweave can be accessed via Google Search, and its Blockweave can process around 5,000 transactions per second. This barely scratches the surface of how Arweave works, and I strongly suggest checking out my first video about the project when you're done watching this one. That will be down in the description. Now, it's been over half a year since I last covered Arweave, and to say that a lot has happened since then would be an understatement. In September last year, decentralized streaming protocol LivePeer released a tool called the Web3 Index, which tracks the use of cryptocurrency protocols that underpin the decentralized internet. As you can see, Arweave is at the top of the list by a wide margin, and it has apparently held this position since the Web3 Index was introduced. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you're interested. In early October, crypto indexing protocol The Graph integrated with Arweave, making it easy for crypto devs to analyze and incorporate all the data stored on its Blockweave. A highly anticipated decentralized blogging platform on Ethereum called Mirror also went live with Arweave as its decentralized storage solution. At the end of October, a data archiving protocol on Arweave called Kive Network raised almost $3 million from well-known crypto VCs. For context, Kive Network is how most cryptocurrencies have integrated Arweave, including Avalanche, Zilliqa, Polkadot's parachain Moonriver, Near Protocol, and Injective Protocol. In November, Arweave integrated with Ethereum's leading scaling solution Polygon via Bundler Network, another data archiving protocol built on Arweave. It appears that most of the data storage on Arweave is actually occurring via Bundler, and that might have something to do with the fact that you can pay for this data storage using any token, and Bundler will automatically convert it to AR to pay Arweave miners behind the scenes. In December, expert investor Katie Howen left her post as partner of the crypto VC firm Andreessen Horowitz to create her own crypto VC firm. Now, this is significant because Katie reportedly led the deal to back Arweave, as well as other promising crypto projects such as the OpenSea NFT marketplace. As it so happens, Katie just raised $1.5 billion for her crypto VC firm called Howen Ventures, and I have a feeling that some of that capital will find its way into Arweave's ecosystem. If you're curious about the largest VC firms in crypto, you can check out my video about them using the link in the description. Anyways, in early January, a crypto project called Sarcophagus raised almost $5.5 million from various crypto VCs, including the Arweave team. Sarcophagus calls itself a, quote, decentralized dead man's switch built on Ethereum and Arweave, and it's designed to send all of your crypto to a wallet of your choosing when you die. Creepy but cool. In mid-January, an associate at Boston Consulting Group wrote a lengthy thread on Twitter about why Arweave is so important. Now, Boston Consulting Group is one of the largest consulting firms in the world, so the fact that Arweave is on its radar is a pretty big deal. At the end of January, Grayscale revealed that it is considering creating new crypto funds for over 24 cryptocurrencies, including Arweave. Now, unfortunately, an Arweave trust has yet to materialize, but it's only been a couple of months since the announcement, and I reckon it's only a matter of time before we see one. In February, Arweave made the headlines in both mainstream and crypto media, and that's because it had called on its community to archive as much information as possible about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Arweave co-founder Sam Williams was even interviewed by Bloomberg, and he explained that the Arweave community had created bots to archive any data on the web related to the conflict, and that these bots are archiving millions of photos, articles, and videos every day. Earlier this month, a decentralized NFT music marketplace built on Arweave called Pianti raised $6.5 million from prominent people in the crypto industry, including one of the co-founders of the sandbox. A few days later, Arweave's decentralized alternative to Google Drive, called AR Drive, raised $17 million from various crypto VCs, and the company said it plans on using those funds to create a decentralized gateway for Arweave's entire ecosystem called AR.io. AR.io is still in development, but I'll leave a link to the website in the description if you're interested. Last, but certainly not least, Arweave announced that it had integrated with Ethereum's Arbitrum via Bundler Network, making it possible for users of Ethereum's second-largest scaling solution to store their on-chain data forever. If you want to learn more about Ethereum scaling solutions, you can check out my video about those using the link in the description. Anyhow, as amazing as Arweave's announcements, updates, developments, and integrations have been, AR's price is basically where it was when I last covered the project. This is for a few reasons. For starters, AR's price action is highly correlated with Sol's, Solana's native cryptocurrency. If you compare the price action of the two, it's easy to see the parallels. Now, this is because Arweave has been storing Solana's transaction history since December 2020, and it looks like most of the demand for Arweave storage has been coming from Solana, specifically Solana's NFT marketplaces, and the interest there has been on the decline for quite some time. Another reason why AR has been underperforming is because of China's crypto crackdown last autumn. According to the Arweave Explorer, there were once over 1,000 Arweave miners in China. All these miners have since gone offline, at least according to the Explorer. During his presentation at the Messari Mainnet conference last September, Sam Williams was asked why there were so many Arweave miners in China. Sam said it's mainly because of another crypto project called Chia, which also involves using storage for mining. Many Chia miners switched over to Arweave when Chia mining became less lucrative. Although China's latest crypto crackdown was well underway when Sam made those comments, it wasn't until late November that Chinese authorities turned their focus to altcoin-related operations, and AR's price started to crash as Chinese Arweave miners dumped their earnings. AR continued to crater in December along with the rest of the crypto market and has had a hard time recovering compared with many major altcoins. I attribute this to AR's limited exchange support in the United States, and there's no shortage of comments in the Arweave subreddit expressing frustration about buying AR in the country. I'll leave a link in the description to some of the best exchanges that list AR in case you were looking. Now, the good news is that AR hasn't seen much of an increase on the supply side. CoinGecko's historical data suggests that AR's supply has only increased by about 6 million, whereas CoinMarketCap's historical data suggests AR's supply hasn't increased at all. Assuming an average price of $40 per AR, this works out to around $240 million of sell pressure, most of which was likely offset by the demand for permanent storage from crypto projects like Solana, all the bots automatically uploading data, and all the regular people using Arweave. What's annoying is that Arweave's vesting schedule is unclear, and this makes it difficult to estimate how much AR's circulating supply has changed over the last few months and what it will look like going forward. Luckily, the demand for Arweave is easy to estimate using its Explorer, and all its available metrics suggest Arweave's adoption is still in an exponential trend regardless of its price. To put things into perspective, when I covered Arweave last August, there were just 151 miners, and as I mentioned earlier, there are now nearly 1,200. On the user side, Arweave went from 90,000 wallets to over 155,000 wallets, and the amount of data stored by Arweave has jumped from 10 terabytes to over 55 terabytes. As a cherry on top, Arweave's monthly transaction growth has been explosive over the last year and is showing no signs of slowing down. Best of all, Arweave has a medium-sized market cap, and that means it has lots of room to grow. With enough integrations and decentralized applications driving demand, AR could easily 5x from here in the long term. Whether or not AR can crank out this parabolic run ultimately depends on Arweave's upcoming milestones. Arweave doesn't seem to have an official roadmap, but a few upcoming milestones can be found in interviews with and presentations by Sam Williams. In a September interview, Sam said that Polkadot is among the cryptocurrencies that will be using Arweave to store their transaction histories. This makes sense given that Polkadot's developers have turned their focus to total decentralization over the last year or so. As far as I can tell, Arweave has been working on its Polkadot integration for over a year and still seems to be working on it to this day. And speaking of decentralization, Sam also said that Arweave is focused on removing the remaining centralized elements of its ecosystem. This includes the Arweave website itself, which will eventually be moved to the Arweave wiki that lives on Arweave's permaweb. Sam even hinted that Arweave is looking to offer archival services to institutions, including governments, which would obviously lead to lots of demand for AR. In his aforementioned presentation at the Mainnet Masari conference, Sam stated that Arweave's short-term endgame is to become the backbone of all decentralized applications in cryptocurrency. In Sam's aforementioned interview with Bloomberg, the interviewer implied that Arweave had just undergone another raise from crypto VCs, and Sam didn't deny it, but didn't really give any details either. The interviewer probably just mixed up Arweave and Ardrive, but I guess we'll see soon enough. What Sam did detail, however, is Arweave's focus on incubating up-and-coming projects building on Arweave via the Open Web Foundry, with a focus on creating use cases that will result in more adoption. The Arweave website highlights the 4 areas the Open Web Foundry is interested in, and these are the creation of bots that archive real-world data, decentralized storage solutions for institutions, decentralized applications, and initiatives to store culturally and historically significant information. In an interview earlier this month, Sam specified that the Open Web Foundry is looking to incubate no fewer than 1,000 Arweave projects in the coming months and years. This begs the question of how much of that money is coming from sales of AR, but I'll come back to that in a moment. First, I want to draw your attention to a potential milestone that could send AR to the moon, and that's the possibility that Arweave will be selected to store Ethereum's transaction history. In a December article on Arweave News, which doubles as the project's blog, the author analysed the Ethereum roadmap shared by Vitalik Buterin around that time and spotted something extremely important. After Ethereum transitions from proof-of-work to proof-of-stake, adds shards, and introduces zero-knowledge-based scaling solutions, Ethereum will essentially delete all transactions older than 1 year as part of a process known as the purge. The rationale for the purge is that deleting all this historical data will make Ethereum faster and more decentralized. But, as the author of the article points out, it's important to store Ethereum's full transaction history somewhere. Ethereum Improvement Proposal 4444 pertains to the purge, and the authors of the EIP ponder the possibility of storing Ethereum's full transaction history on decentralized storage solutions like the Interplanetary File System, or IPFS. The problem there is that the IPFS doesn't promise permanence in the same way Arweave does, and it doesn't have adequate financial incentives for storage either. It also wouldn't hurt to store Ethereum's full transaction history on more than one decentralized storage solution. As such, it's quite possible that Ethereum will tap Arweave to store its full transaction history when the purge comes around, and that will almost certainly create insane demand for AR. I'll also quickly note that Sam Williams actually participated in the Ethereum ICO using BTC he had mined, so there's a chance he has the connections required to make this happen. Now, if you're wondering what Ethereum has been up to lately, you can get the updates by checking out my latest video about the project using the link in, of all places, the description. And now, for everyone's favourite part, my concerns about Arweave. My first concern relates to Arweave's adoption. There's no question that Arweave's list of crypto project integrations is growing by the day, but according to Arweave's App Explorer, it doesn't see many interactions from regular people. Moreover, Arweave's 2 most popular browser extension wallets only have 30,000 combined downloads. It's not bad given the size of the project, but it's not great either. This ties into my second concern, and that's the effect archival bots seem to be having on Arweave. Now, a member of the Coin Bureau team actually uses Arweave on a regular basis to archive certain news headlines, and he's noticed a significant increase in the time it takes to upload data over the last month. Recall that archival bots have been out in full force since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, to be clear, this is a very good thing, but I fear that eventually there will be so many bots that it will make Arweave unusable for regular people, potentially even the crypto projects it's integrated with. This will likely happen regardless of whether there's an international crisis going on. This relates to my third concern, and that's regulations. Those of you who watched my first video about the project will recall that Arweave has a peculiar content moderation policy. The short of it is that Arweave miners are not obligated to store any data they don't like for whatever reason. Sam Williams was recently asked about how Arweave can be compliant with data laws in certain jurisdictions like the European Union, and he seemed to imply that Arweave miners could delete user data if requested to do so. To be honest, Sam's answer wasn't really clear here, and I suspect that might also have to do with regulations. The last thing Sam wants is for Arweave to end up on the naughty list of governments around the world, especially if the project is gunning to store their publicly available data. I also couldn't help but notice that Arweave has been aggressive in its decentralization efforts since I last covered the project, and I again suspect this has to do with regulations. This time, regulations related to listing on cryptocurrency exchanges in the United States. Now, with all that said though, these concerns aren't really all that concerning. The only thing that really irks me is the absence of information relating to stuff like mining rewards, AR's vesting schedule, and how the team's AR holdings are being spent. This can and probably will be addressed in due course, especially since the Arweave community is asking a lot about it as well. What's important is that Arweave has seen some serious adoption and is in the perfect position to establish itself as one of the top crypto projects on the market. I truly believe that Arweave will eventually become the backbone to not just all decentralized applications, but all major cryptocurrency blockchains. And when that happens, mark my words, AR will moon. That's all for today's Arweave update. If you're looking for exchanges which list the AR coin which I rate, then I have a juicy OKX fee rebate which you'll want to grab before it's too late. Visit that link in the description if you just can't wait. If you have something to say, drop a comment below before you get on your way. If you enjoyed the video, turn that like button grey. Remember to subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell too, because the worst thing to be in crypto is late. If you're looking for more from the Coin Bureau, I know just the place. Coin Bureau clips for behind the scenes and live streams. The Coin Bureau podcast, which is perfect to listen to when you're doing other tasks. My Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for the good kind of crypto spam. And detailed daily crypto updates in the Coin Bureau Telegram. Did you know that subscribing to my weekly newsletter isn't just for superfans? It's where I reveal the rest of my portfolio and tell you all about my crypto plans. You can find my second channel, podcast, socials, Telegram, newsletter, and deals page down in the description. That's all from me. I really must fly, so it's time for this guy to bid you goodbye.